You're listening to the Joe Kamo Show. Real sports, real talk.
All right, welcome to the show, guys. I've got a special guest, Chris CJ2K. Yeah, the real one, CJ2K on the show. What's happening, man?
What's good, man? Just chilling, man. That's it.
Glad to have you on the show. I've had you on the Fantasy Football Counselor show. I wanted to go with a different direction. I've created my new Joe Kamo show, and it kind of opens things up. So it's not limiting me to just fantasy football. It's opening things up for my brand and kind of using my real last name in there, Joe Kamo. And I thought it would be pretty catchy to use that other than just kind of my middle name with Joseph Robert. So I'm glad you're on the show. How have you been?
Man, I've been good, man. Just chilling down here in Orlando, just grinding. And, on the business side of things, and just enjoying the Titans having a good season.
They're having an amazing season, but what the hell happened to them? Was it last week they lost to the Bengals? What happened there? Did you watch that?
Man, I'm not sure, man. In this league, it just beat them Sundays sometimes. It just beat them games sometimes. I don't care how sorry, or I'm not going to say how sorry a team is, but how bad a team record is and how good this team record is. It's just some Sundays, some teams got your number and it's just not going your way, and things just happen. I don't think that you can look at that one game or that one loss and just, ruin their whole season. Hopefully they went back to work hard and made sure they ain't make them mistakes and made sure, they don't let that happen again.
I mean, they look for real. Derrick Henry, obviously the real deal. And I hated how the haters were hating on Derrick Henry a couple of years ago. And I said, this guy is a real deal. And then he kind of, I guess dug down to his roots and realized, man, I got to make something happen. And sure enough, he's imposing his will on defenders. He looks really good. And I think the guy, I don't know him personally, but he looks like you know him personally. He's a class act. Is he as advertised in person? Does he seem like a genuine nice guy in person with Derrick?
Yeah, he's definitely a genuine nice guy, man. He's that type of guy that just want to win, come to work, don't do too much, just focus on winning, doing what he got to do to, put the team on his shoulders and try to get them to that Super Bowl. So he's definitely a genuine guy. He's not a guy that be in the news having all these trouble issues and all that stuff. He just come to work, ready to work.
The amazing thing is he keeps his ego in check. Like there's no ego that I'm seeing on the field. Like he throws people around like they're rag dolls. I love it. It's entertaining to watch. He is just, I want to see this guy live in person. I'd like to go to a Tennessee Titans game, but with the world situation, it's crazy. But he's one of those guys, you got to witness him in real life. And I was very fortunate to see Kobe in his last year because I'd never been to a Lakers game, but I made it a mission to fly out to California and see Kobe live. Now, unfortunately for that particular game, he had a cold. So Kobe was there. Like I was in the presence of Kobe Bryant, but he was actually on the bench. So at least I got to see him live, which was cool. And I think I want to do the same thing with a guy like Derrick Henry and just kind of witness greatness at its best. So yeah, really exciting to see what he's doing on the field. And I got to tell you, man, I got to give you credit. I was wrong about Dalvin Cook, man. I know he was good, but it was just like staying on the field. And man, oh man, he is unreal and he's explosive and he's just fantastic, outstanding. You're right, man. And again, he's got to stay on the field, though. Do you think he'll last the rest of the season, though? That's a big concern.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people jumped the gun a little bit. He only missed one game,
right?
And it kind of happened. It kind of happened at. I never said injury is good, but it kind of happened at a good time because he ended up missing one game, and I think they had a bye week, and then he was able to come back strong or whatever like that. But man,
yeah,
I've been saying this about Dalvin Cook ever since he was at Florida State. Man, I don't even see how he dropped to the second round. Like that was crazy, but I like him so much, because I see a lot of me in him. Know what I'm saying? And especially how they running that zone running scheme.
Right.
He'll be.
That's what, and again, I'm not just blowing smoke and kissing your ass, kissing your ass here. I keep it real here. But honestly, there's only a handful of running backs that I really enjoy to watch because they're explosive. And Derrick Henry, as big as he is, he's exciting because he gets those explosive plays. Dalvin Cook, another one. You yourself, very explosive player. And like there's certain guys that I know the talent is there, but why are they not exploding? A guy like David Montgomery, maybe he doesn't have the speed. I think the talent is there, but it's very anticlimactic watching these guys. So why isn't it that certain guys aren't breaking out? Is it because of the O-line? Is it because just the defense they're playing? Or is it just they're lacking that explosiveness? I think it's a special character and a special player to have that explosiveness. I'm seeing a lot of lackluster performances.
Well, you got to look at it like this. Each player, when you talk about running back or any player, each player got their own special talent. You know what I'm saying? They got their own special it factor. And
Right.
That's the reason why, certain teams drafted this guy. Certain teams may have this guy higher on their draft board and this guy lower, and a different team have him higher because of certain things. So what people don't understand when it comes to running back position is that we have to depend on so many people. Like the scenarios have to be almost perfect because just like you say, you see how explosive you see Derrick Henry is right now. His first year or two in the league, people weren't saying that. So these past couple of years, what was able to help Derrick Henry out was coaching, them believing in him. Like before, he wasn't the main guy. He's the type of running back that he has to be in the game. You have to feed the beast.
Right.
They wasn't feeding him. So that comes with coaching, offense coordinator, offensive line, quarterback play, everything. So it's like, as a running back, you have to depend on so many people. So as a team or as a coaching staff, if you want your base of your offense to be your running game, that means you got to have everything hitting on all cylinders. That means you got to have your offensive line playing good. The quarterback know when to check in and out of runs or in and out of certain plays. Because before you know it, if you got a good running back and the quarterback is not good, guess what we're going to do? We're going to put 8 in the box and tell the quarterback got to beat us. You got to have a playmaker outside to take so they can't keep bringing that extra safety down in the box. Know what I'm saying? So we depend on a lot of people. As if you play receiver or tight end or something like that, it's either you got to beat one man, or sometimes they may double team you though, but you don't, as a running back, you got to beat at least 9 defenders.
Right. This is really good insight. This is really, really good insight because us armchair quarterbacks, us guys like myself who just sit on the couch, eat potato chips. And I mean, I try to get in shape. We're playing fantasy football. We come down on these players. I'm guilty for it. Why did you suck this week? Why did you lack a performance this week? And people got to realize I do it for entertainment, but there's real fans out there that are doing it because they're actually pissed off at the player, but they're not realizing how much goes into it. But again, some of these players don't see it with me. I'm just doing it again for entertainment purposes. I'm an entertainer, so I'm in there kind of being the shock jock of fantasy. But again, these guys are getting a lot of heat right now from the fans saying, why did you not perform? Why did you not do this? And with social media, man, they're hearing it. But it's good for you to break down how difficult it is for these guys to really, really take off, right?
Yeah, because think about it. If let's just speak fantasy world versus real life, because I experienced the same thing when I was playing. The whole fantasy world, this and that, the fans mad, this and that, whatever.
They're ruthless.
But think about this. Like, if we're going into a game, right, and say second quarter, say the team is up 21-3. And that has nothing to do with the offense. Just say, the defense ain't playing good today. Say they special team returned the kick or whatever. It's 21-3. Do you think as an offense that we're going to continue to just run the ball? We're not going to do that. We're going to pass the ball because we're trying to get back in the game. So basically this whole day, I know we're not running the ball today. We're passing the ball all day. Know what I'm saying? Right. So like as a team, like our ultimate goal is to win. But in the fantasy world, now that I understand now because I play fantasy, it's like, damn, well, I need him to get some carries because I want these points to help my whole entire team win. Know what I'm saying? Like my whole entire team win. So basically in the fantasy world, what you want this running back to do to help your fantasy team is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to win. So at the end of the day, if I get 5 carries and have 20 yards and we come back and win this game, I'm good with that.
Right.
I'm good with that. But on the other end, it look like, damn, you only got, 5 points for my fantasy team today. You suck, this and that. Hey, sometimes, it's a lot of things that go into it, and we're trying to win at the end of the day.
Right. I want to talk about fantasy for a moment here and your pinnacle year of 2009, which was 2006 rushing yards, I believe, and 14 touchdowns, which is insane. And I don't know how many scrimmage yards it was total. Maybe you can repeat that for us and let us know. And I want to talk about mental game after that. I want to go off on a tangent after we talk about this, but can we talk about your record year? How it feels like life must be lackluster after that, because once you hit a pinnacle, it's like, what do I do next? Like, where's the next mountain, right? Like you hit such a high pinnacle. So I want to talk about the mental game, like what's next for you. But like, how did that year feel for you, man? You must have been like physically at the top of your game, mentally, like, were you mentally and physically for you to achieve 2,000 yards, which is like, again, very, very hard to achieve. Anyone to rush 2,000 yards. It's a very huge feat. Right? I can't underestimate how big this is. Like, how were you mentally and physically, and did you have to be at your absolute A game to achieve that?
Yeah, of course. Like you got to be at top of your A game, physically, mentally, everything. You got to get your body prepared to play and be available for your team each and every Sunday. You get in a groove, man, and it just seems like you feel unstoppable. So not just going to say the same thing that I was saying earlier. Going for 2,000 yards and breaking those records and stuff, it's just not just like, okay, this running back, he's awesome, but it's still things that goes into it. Offense coordinator got to know how to call the right plays, when to call the right plays. Offensive line, major. They have to block for you. I don't care what anyone say, is nobody that ever had a big season and had a bad offensive line. I don't care what anybody say. No running back that never happened. The quarterback have to make plays. My quarterback, Vince Young, he's a playmaker, so he's making plays. We're running all different types of plays, this and that. He's still going to have to make plays because they still coming down in the box, so have to do something to back the guys up. And then also you got to have a defense that's going to continue to get the offense the ball back. Know what I'm saying? But when you put all that together, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still up to the running back because, the offensive line or whatever, they block it for 3-4 yards and you got to make the rest happen. Know what I'm saying? So I feel what helped me get to my 2,000 yards and all the records and stuff like that is my ability to, once I got past the line of scrimmage, to break tackles, to make people miss, and just be that home run hitter. Like, that's basically what it was.
I'm just curious about your thought, and I want to get into your mind and dig deep into a champion's mind here. So for me, with competition, sometimes I look at the competition, I'm like, they're doing that. But most of the time, I'm kind of, when you're in the zone, I don't even, like, I did a podcast before I got on with you. I didn't have time to look at anything, any social media. So I was kind of in my zone. So my question to you is, when you're in that year, I'm just going to use that year as an example. Were you looking at other running backs in the league saying, oh my God, he's going to catch up to me? Or were you just so honed in and focused on what you're supposed to do that you didn't even care about the other leagues, and that's why you achieved it? So my question is, did you focus on others and what they were doing, or were you totally in the zone with you?
I think I was totally in the zone with me. I wasn't really worried about nobody else because, shoot, I ain't gonna lie, I looked at the stats,
Right.
but I was like 400 or 500 yards from the next guy. Know what I'm saying? Like, I was so far ahead of the next guy, I really wasn't even concerned about that. But the crazy thing about it is before in training camp, I had already said, man, I'm gonna rush for 2,000 yards.
Right.
I said I'm rushing for 2,000 yards, and it just kept piling up and piling up and piling up, and then that goal really became reality, and it just went from there.
Yeah, I'm just curious here. Again, we're just having an open talk here. So I'm curious right now, if let's just say we gave you 1 month training diet, you got the best trainers in the world. If you lined up for a 40-yard dash, honestly, right now, I hate to ask you this because it's been years after the fact. And how do you hit a 4.24? What time do you think you'd hit right now? I'm just curious.
Right now, see,
Putting you on the spot here.
That's a cardinal sin. I never say that I ran anything less than a 4.2 something. I'm just a 4.2 guy, man. I'm just a 4.2 guy. With the right training and all that, I'm a 4.2 guy, man.
Right. So, yeah, I don't see you being too far off. But 4.24 is going to be hard to hit again. But I could definitely see a 4.
I'm not saying 4.24.
No doubt. It'd be hard to hit, but definitely in the 4.2s, maybe high 4.2s at least.
Yeah.
That's good. You're still a young guy, still a lot ahead of you. So I want to talk a little bit about, have you heard of David Goggins? You know what David Goggins is?
David Goggins. Sound familiar.
Do you do much reading? I know a lot of people don't do much reading. I'm kind of slacking, but do you read any books at all right now or no?
No, not right now.
There's a book I recommend. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, a guy I've been studying. He basically was a Navy SEAL, went through Hell Week multiple times, ultra marathon runner, had the pull-up bar competition, won that in the Guinness Book of Records. He's done everything, overcame adversity, overcame racism, overcame everything. He is like the hardest man on the planet. David Goggins, if you want to look him up. Amazing guy. One thing he talks about is soul taking. So when you're against a competitor, he talks about outdoing that person, and it's like taking their soul. And he's called mental callousing the brain. That's what he's done. So I want to talk about your brain right now, because again, hitting that feat, you're like, okay, I've hit this huge mountain, future Hall of Famer, amazing time, amazing records. What is next for Chris Johnson? Like your mental game must be like up there, like shit, man. Whenever you're doing like a simple task, you're like, shit, I can do this. I ran 2,000 yards. Like, is that something that you think? And what David Goggins calls is called the cookie jar. So he digs into his cookie jar to find power to do something else. So my question to you is, what is the next thing for Chris Johnson? Do you dig into that cookie jar when you're handling a tough task?
Yes, but I think different. I wouldn't say like that. I'd be like, so for example, a couple of my business ventures, as far as like, let's just say the coffee shop, right? There's like, honestly, like before I got into it, trying to start a business and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there probably had the same mindset as me. Well, had the same mindset that I had, thinking that it's not as hard as it is. Probably think that, I go find a building, I pay rent, do what I gotta do to run my business. But it's way harder than that. It's so much stuff from setting up insurance to getting these permits to like, man, it's a lot that goes into it that I would never expect or whatever. Like, it's so much to when you would get in it and then you be like, damn, do I really want to do this? I didn't know it was all of this work. But when I dig into my cookie jar, it goes to the fact, not that I don't be like, oh, I rushed for 2,000 yards, I know I can do this. My cookie jar is, I had a dream, then I had a plan to play professional football. So that started from high school to college to the pros, and all the obstacles that I had to endure and hop over to make it there, and everything I had to put myself through to make it there. And not only once I made it there, all the hard work and things I had to put into to be the best running back in the league, to accomplish all the goals that I accomplished. The hard work that I put in to do that, all the work that I put in to do that, as far as going to college, waking up at 5 in the morning, going to winter conditioning, got to be on the field by 5:30 in the morning. It's snow, it's 10 degrees out there. Like, all that stuff that I did is nothing else in this world that I feel like is harder than that.
Right.
So if I was able to go to class, be at workouts at 5 in the morning, soon as workouts over, got to be to class at 8. Going through the day through class, leave there, going to study hall, all that stuff that I went through to do that, then on to the league, like doing everything I had to do to be one of the best players in the league. Like, I feel like if I was able to do that and put myself through that and make all those sacrifices, that anything out here is like, I can accomplish it. Because on the field, it's physical and mental.
Right.
But when you're doing this, it's just mental. It's just mental, basically. So, like, me starting a business, like, yes, it's hard as hell, but I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm up here, like, trying to start this business, I fill out this insurance paperwork, or learning to brew coffee, and I got to worry about a 250, 300-pound dude hitting me. Know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
there's, like, I was just talking to Chris Gronkowski. He's on the show. He's got the Gronkowski name, which is huge. So, and he came out with this ice shaker brand. And if you're sitting on his ass, there's no way that this thing would grow. And he said that, yeah, the name Gronkowski gets his foot in the door, but it's about the product. Do you find the same thing? The Chris Johnson name can get you in the door, but it's about your product, correct? That really, really accelerates everything else. Is that true?
that's definitely true. Like, just our name alone, you get certain connections, like get your foot in the door rather than Joe Blow.
Right.
Nobody knows who Joe Blow is, so you're not just gonna, like, with Joe Blow, your product has to be A1 to get you in the door. Somebody with a name, you can get in the door, but once you get in the door, that product have to be on point,
right,
in order for you to continue for it to grow. Because you can get in the door all you want, but if you get in the door and shit, your product not good, then, like, it's the same way you can compare it to football. Like, you can come up in a family with a lot, like, your whole family been going to the NFL, this and that, and you just the next stepping stone, and you are right, and you end up going to the, it happens. You end up getting drafted, go to the NFL, you okay, but your family name really got you in there. And then once you get in the door, if you don't produce, you're gonna be out.
right.
You're gonna be out of the league. So, like, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, once you get in the door, now it's like, I'm in the door, now I gotta make this happen.
All right, let's talk. Speaking of family and name, are those your two boys in the background there in the picture?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you, because I have a daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old son. I want to get my son to sports, but obviously I don't have the Chris Johnson genes, so I want to get him in the door. How do you find your kids genetically right now? Are they getting into sports now? And do you want them to take the football path? Because I remember listening to a guy like Arian Foster. I think I was listening to his podcast. I heard him in a meeting. He's like, I don't really want my kids to do what I did. Do you want your kids to go through what you went through? Do you want them to do the physical challenge? Do you want them in football, basically? And if so, how would you go about in getting them trained for that?
Oh, well, they play football. This is their first year of tackle football. They're 8 years old. This is their first year of tackle football this year. And, like, my competitive gene, how I'm competitive I am, sometimes I forget that this is their first year. And, I get upset with them sometimes. Like, you got
for sure.
But at the end of the day, they love it. Know what I'm saying? So, like, right now, it's just, to me, like, only thing I care about is them having fun. And if they love doing it and having fun doing it, then, the rest of it is going to eventually come, the more, because it's their first year, first time having on pads, first time any of that. So basically, you know, the rest of that gonna come. My whole thing with it is, as long as they're having fun with it, then I'm okay with however it go.
Now, how old are they? They about like how old are their ages now?
They're 8.
Do they realize who you are yet, or no? Do they just think of you as dad, or do they watch a tape and say, "Shit, that's Chris Johnson"? Like, do they realize it yet, or no?
No, they know.
They know, they're aware. They watch the tape, right?
They know. Yeah.
They're fully aware of that, because some kids, they don't look at it like, oh, it's just dad. It's not, it's not a future Hall of Famer. It's just dad, right? So that's good that they're aware of that. So yeah, it's really exciting to see them probably, moving on the footsteps and continuing the legacy. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I wanted to ask you too. Let's have some fun here. Let's talk about your business in a second, but I want to talk a little bit about GOAT talk. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. I think we had this talk before a little bit. We're talking this is a big question here, but I like to test people. Now, behind me, I've got this old DVD. It's the 100 Greatest Players. It's 10 years old, so it's super old. They've currently got Jerry Rice as the greatest of all time player of all time, period, for football. If I were to, I don't want to make it too hard for you, but let's say top 3. Who would you say are the top 3 greatest players of all time? And I don't want to put the pressure of putting you in there, so let's take you out. So there's no bias in this. Aside from Chris Johnson, because I know you believe in yourself, is there other 3 players, or who's the greatest of all time for football? I mean, is it Montana? Is it Rice? Who would you put in there as a top player of all time? Tough, I know, because there's different positions, but if you were to break it down,
I would have to say number 1 is Barry to me.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Running back.
Barry Sanders to me. Number 2, I will go with Jerry
Rice. I agree. He's up there for me. I think he's my number 1 right now. I'm torn.
Yeah. And number 3 is you have to go Emmett.
Emmitt Smith. Yes. Emmitt Smith was outstanding.
Them my 3.
That's tough. That's a tough one. Now, I'm going to throw this in here because I'm surprised the quarterback didn't make it. But if you're to go quarterback, this is a huge debate. You've got Brady, you've got Montana, and now you've got guys that could be the GOATs. From Russell Wilson's up there for me, man. I mean, you put Russell Wilson back in the 90s. I mean, the elusiveness he's got, the accuracy, the work ethic. I mean, this is a tough one, but if you go quarterback the way it sits right now, who would you lean towards?
I gotta go. Oh man,
this is tough.
I gotta go Brady.
You have to, right? I mean, with the rings, the work ethic, and the thing with Brady is that he could bring a team back that's losing. He gets it done every game.
Yeah, he gets it done. Brady gets it done. Like, there's nowhere around it with the rings and the championships he have won with no really all-star receivers or running backs. You have to go Brady.
Okay, fair enough. I can't debate that. I can't argue that. I'm with you on that one. Here's an interesting one here for you. Who was your inspiration? Was it Barry Sanders that inspired you growing up?
Yeah, Barry Sanders. That was my guy.
Right. Yeah. Because I was thinking about asking that question because, what's your why? What kind of inspires you? What moves you in your field? So you kind of mimic certain people in your field to say, okay, that guy did that. I could probably do good, if not better, and achieve that. So I was curious about that. Also, I ask this a lot to people. What was your why? Because a lot of people say, what's your why? For me, like for podcasting, it's legacy. It's losing my dad and him not having a lot. So I have a lot of why. It's my kids. It's a lot of things. And I keep that in my pocket, in my wallet, all my whys on why I do what I do, why I wake up. What was your why growing up?
As far as wanting to go to the NFL?
Yeah, like why did you want to be as big as you did? Why did you want to do the NFL? What makes you want to strive? What made you get up at 5 a.m. and work out? Why would you do that?
Just how I came up, the struggle, man. Like, the struggle. Parents like living check to check, like
right.
So, like both of my parents was in my household, work and did what they had to do to take care of us, and basically they had us young. So it was 4 of us, 4 boys.
Right.
you know, and did whatever they had to do to make sure there was food on the table, make sure we had clothes on our back for school and stuff like that. But, you know, my whole time coming up, like, I always wanted to live better. Like, I didn't want to have to live check to check or have to basically struggle.
Right.
Basically didn't want to have to struggle, none of that stuff. So I'm like, man, I wanted to be big. Like, I didn't, like, my whole thing coming up, like, and even even if like some of my college teammates and stuff like this hear this, they can contest to this. Like, I never wanted to be a guy, like, I wasn't content with just making the NFL. Know what I'm saying? I didn't want to just be like, oh, I'm in the NFL, I made it to the NFL. I wanted to be like the best running back in the league. I wanted to set big records, do all that stuff. Like, that was my goal. And I knew, like, none of this stuff could happen if I didn't put in the work. So those waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and all that, that's something that I had to do. Like, in the off season when we trained down there 5 days a week in college. And we get the weekend off. Me and a couple guys, we used to go out there on Saturday.
Right.
We ain't take Saturday off. We went out there on Saturday, ran stadiums, did all that stuff. And we just knew if the type of players that we wanted to be in college and also at the next level, we knew the grind. We knew the work that it was going to take, because we wasn't at no USC, Ohio State, Florida State, Miami. We weren't at this school. Like, we was at East Carolina. Yeah, we D1. Yeah, we play a lot of. We in a good conference. Yeah, but I know in order for me to, like, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to be a first round pick, and I knew in order for me to be a first round pick, I knew that I had to do way more than somebody at a USC or Ohio State did. Know what I'm saying? Like, you go to Ohio State and rush for 1,200 yards and come out and be a first round pick. Are you like, know what I'm saying?
Right.
You do what I did at East Carolina, shit, especially my senior year, I did what I did at East Carolina. If I was at Ohio State, USC, this and that, I'd probably been a top 3 pick.
Right.
So I knew what it took.
Yeah. Well, I'm transitioning here. So when you came out of football, did you feel like a safety net was removed? You're like, oh crap, what do I do now? Or did you have the plan for entrepreneurship right when you got out?
Nah, I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do.
Right.
I didn't know, because when I finished playing, it wasn't planned. Like, I feel like if I was able to stop playing the game when I wanted to, then I feel like even if I did stop playing the game when I wanted to, it probably wouldn't, the transition probably wouldn't have been easy, but it would have been a lot smoother, if you get what I'm saying. It would have been a lot smoother, because if I was able to quit playing, like, on my own terms when I was ready, then I could have put a plan together. Like, okay, say it's like, okay, I know I'm gonna play 2 more years. So guess what? I'm finna start planning for once I retire, I can already have something going on. So once I hang up the cleats, I'm already into something else. Everything's smooth rolling, this and that. But when you end up retiring before you was ready, it's like, damn. Now it's like, okay, training camp finna start or whatever. Now it's like, shit, I'm home. Damn, what I'm gonna do?
I think a lot of kids have that problem. A lot of guys come out.
You wake up, it's like, damn, what I'm finna do? Like, I got all day to do whatever I want to do. Like, I can go hang out all night.
Right.
Come home, sleep all day, wake up, do it again. I ain't got nothing to do. What I'm gonna do? So it's like when you trying to get into certain things, this and that, boom. It's a lot of things gonna fail until you finally get to something that really is for you and really you can put your energy and your focus into. And then once you do that, like you'll be all right. Like, see, for me, it took like 2 years after I retired, 2 years after I retired to really get something going on to take my focus and my energy and all that stuff. And on top of that, I got kids. So, you know, me being able to spend a lot of more time with my kids,
For sure.
that was a plus as well. That was a plus as well. So it wasn't just like, okay, I'm done, whatever, like this, me finding something to get into. It's just like, okay, I'm finna chill, relax, enjoy myself. Like since from high school all the way up until me retiring from the NFL, like I never had a chance to relax and chill. Like never. Like even NFL, we get off season, but like what, 2-3 months, but you still got to be in shape. You can't come back to the facility out of shape. So I never really had a chance to just chill and relax. So me being able to take time on myself, chill and relax, spend more time with the kids, and then also trying to get into things, you know, eventually it took about like 2 years for that whole transition.
So what are you doing right now? It's the coffee business right now for you. Can you kind of explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, basically the coffee business is what's going on right now. I'm actually about to break ground on the shop with the build out and stuff like that. And we should be opening up the 1st of January. I have that going on, and I'm also part owner of the whole brand. So, you know, we selling franchises and stuff like that. So basically that pretty much got my focus right now.
So what's the name of the coffee franchise that you're looking at right, or that you're working with, you're owner of?
Just Love Coffee.
Just Love Coffee. Okay. So guys, I'm going to link it below. Make sure you guys follow. There's an Instagram page. Which one is your Instagram page particularly? You have one for Florida, right?
Yeah, Just Love Claremont.
Just Love Claremont. Okay, guys, make sure you guys are following that for sure. Now, what are you doing to stay in shape right now? Because again, this is me, and I think differently. I don't really care what people think, but it's more for me. What happens is with certain players, even with athletes, you look at certain players and athletes, they're kind of frozen in time. Once you remember them as that person, as that player, as that actor. Like I was just talking to a guy he does the entertainment. He's like, he walks around like Mr. T. Remember Mr. T from the 80s?
Yeah.
So I have a guy, I had him on the show. He basically lives like Mr. T. He looks like Mr. T, but he's a younger version. Some people actually think he's Mr. T, believe it or not. This is a crazy story. So he walks around with the gold chains, the mohawk. He looks like Mr. T. And some people say, are you Mr. T? He's like, dude, like Mr. T is like 40 years older than me, right? So they still think, because that image is frozen in time. So if I was an athlete, and I, have this amazing year. You're still young right now, but they're going to look at me 10, 15 years. You don't want them to look at you and say, oh, that guy's washed up. Are you looking at maintaining your shape so that 20, 30 years down the road, they look, that's Chris Johnson, and this is Chris Johnson. He's still pretty good damn shape. Is that something that you aim to thrive for, to maintain amazing peak physical fitness?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, I still work out all the time. When we get out off of here, I'm going to go get my workout in. So like, I still work out, but I don't work out the same. Like I work out different now. Like I don't lift heavy. I don't put no bar on my neck and squat and do all that. Like if I do squat, I might do dumbbell squats or leg press or stuff like that. Do a lot of push-ups and stuff. But what I've mainly been doing, what I've crossed over to a lot right now, is my main thing that I do is I cycle.
Right.
I cycle. So I try to at least get that in 3 to 4 times a week. And basically that's it.
I tried to get into it this summer. I actually paid $1,000, got one of those cross bikes. It's kind of like a mountain bike and a road bike. And it's not a happy medium with both. I think if you're on the road, I think you should get a road bike. I think if you're on the trails, you should get a mountain bike, right? Do you find that too? I think you should get a good road bike if you're on the road.
Yeah, if you're on the road, you need to get a good road bike. Because funny story, like when I was getting into it, when I first got into it, I went on Amazon and bought a bike for like $250 or whatever, right? Like $250. So I was riding a bike or whatever, and just like I'm on the bike trail and stuff. And I'm seeing these older people and older guys and guys just
Passing by you, right?
passing by me. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? I know I'm in better shape. I know I'm stronger, all this. And then I realized, like, if you're going to get into it, you have to get a real bike. You got to get a real bike. So I end up, I still don't know the prices and stuff like this. So I'm like, okay, I spent $200 for this bike, whatever. I said, I'm going to go to a real bike shop.
Yeah.
I go in there, like, man, yeah, I say, my budget is $1,000. This and that, whatever. He like, man, you ain't gonna really be able to get what you looking for and nice for no $1,000. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Never knew bikes was expensive. So I ended up getting me a nice, good bike, this and that, and different things, you have to put on the bike, this and that. And just the more you ride, the more you understand. And like now I go from my bike trying to get $1,000 bike. Now I've put probably like $6,000 into my bike. You know what I'm saying? Like $6,000. Right. So like that's mainly what I do now, and it's just crazy. Like if you're gonna get into it, you gotta really be committed to spending money, like clip-ins, the shoes, everything. Like,
yeah, I got to talk to you, but I could talk to you about biking because, again, I dabbled in it. And like I said, I had the same experience. So I went on some country roads by my house and I'm driving and like, I'm telling you, this is not a lie. And I'm in decent shape. I'm not Chris Johnson shape or NFL player shape, but I'm in good shape. I'm about 5'10", 210. I got a little bit of stomach fat here, but overall I'm in good shape. I got decent cardio. So I'm riding along and I got big quads. I'm a pretty strong guy. And I'm riding along, and I swear, no word of a lie, it must have been this gray old, he must have been, I don't know, 80 years old. And he just whizzed by me. So I literally called my wife. I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I crazy? And ever since then, I've kind of been deterred. So I got to get a better bike. I just can't, my ego won't let me drive around with 90-year-olds whizzing by me. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Exactly. It's terrible. And they be on there. And they probably, the crazy thing is, like, when I first started, like, I was like, okay, I'm thinking like 5 miles. You would think, like, if you don't know no better, you think like 5 miles is good.
Right.
Like 5 miles, like you thinking that's good. So like I remember I'm on a bike trail one time. I'm at my little 5 miles, so I stop and take my little break. And the dude, he's like the brake area kind of around the same way. And I'm like, yeah, how many miles you usually ride? He like 25, 30 miles. I'm like, what?
Wow.
25, 30 miles. I'm like, ain't no way. But at this time, you don't just start. So I'm like, ain't no way I'd be able to ride 25, 30 miles, this and that. But you get the right type of bike, the right type of equipment to do it, you can do it. It's not as hard. But they ride so much that, they so used to it that they ride a lot of miles. Some of them they get like 100 miles in a week.
Yeah, they just glide through. And again, I went out and I still go out in my track pants, like heavy track pants, and it's not very good with the wind. And, my aerodynamics aren't good. I'm sitting up high. I don't, I definitely need a good road bike, and I need to get some aerodynamics next summer when I go out, because the way it was going, it wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very addictive. It's very fun. It's very peaceful when you hit the country roads. Do you have the same issue being a biker that when you're driving or riding along, that some a-hole drivers come really close to hitting you? Did you find that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In certain areas. Yeah.
They'll cut it really close. And the thing about that, I've always thought about that. If they hit you or sideswipe you, you've got no shot to catch up to them and beat the crap out of them. They're gone. Right. So I'm thinking that I might mount some sort of high definition camera or like some GoPro at the front of my bike. If God forbid something like that happens, I protect myself. But I definitely want to get more into cycling next year. Right now, I'm just into boxing. So I've got a heavy bag. I've got one of those speed bags down here. So I'm moving and shaking. I'm starting to do my boxing thing right now. So.
Oh, nice.
Now, I don't know if you know, but I had it out with Le'Veon Bell on social media. Did you see that or no?
No.
No. So it's a long story. I won't get too much into it. But what happened was, I guess Le'Veon Bell was playing on the Jets, and I made a joke. Obviously, you know me, I'm entertained. I don't want to purposely entice these guys, but I said, dude, why are you boxing? I mean, focus on playing running back because you're not doing that very well. So he came out and basically put me in his story mode, and we kind of had it out. So I had this joke going along. I'm like, hey, I'll box you for charity, but he's an amazing athlete. There's no doubt about it. But in boxing, he didn't move well, Chris. I got to be honest. His hands were down. He moved a little sloppy. But yeah, so because I have a bit of a boxing background, so I wonder how that fight would go. I'd probably, it would be a tough one going against an athlete, right? No, there's no doubt about it.
Probably, especially if you're not in shape, because
Cardio, right?
that cardio, that boxing training is one of the toughest training, and it ain't always about if I can beat you up. Is as you able that win. If your win is not up and all that, it's a lot.
So have you tried cross training? I'm curious to you because you obviously hit the pinnacle of your sport. When you tried crossover, have you tried boxing and stuff like that, or jujitsu or anything like that? Have you tried it? And if so, being honest with yourself, were you really that good at that other sport?
Yeah, I did MMA with Jay Glazer.
How'd you do? Like, did you find that you were coordinated, or did you find that you would have held your own? Like, how did you do?
Well, we never did like against another person, but just the training as far as like the kicking, the bags, and all the other different shit, man, that training is brutal. It's brutal. It gets you in shape. Bro, like, it's hard. That's what like one of the hardest training like I had to do. Man, like going in the gym doing 1,000 kicks, you would think that's okay. You're just kicking. No, it's brutal. So like, man, I know if you're trying to cross over to that sport, you really gotta put everything into it and really gotta train. You have to train real good.
Well, that's why I think I could take Le'Veon Bell in a boxing match, because my roots are growing up taking shots to the face. I've done karate since I was 11. It's kind of my foundation. And even though I didn't go pro, I did some amateur MMA fights where I took my body to the physical peak. I cut myself from 200 to 170, lean and strong. This was back in 2010. But anyway, that's besides the fact. This is just a fun thing I have going on. It's not like Le'Veon Bell is going to come box me or anything like that. But it was just kind of a fun thing on social media, some back and forth. And I was just curious how you guys cross over to other sports. But did you actually get punched in the face at all when you were doing the training, or no?
No, we wasn't going up against another person.
Have you been punched in the face at all, or no?
Yeah. Sure I've been punched in the face in a fight.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. It's just like when you're in the MMA, the only way I describe it, it was raw. Like when I was in MMA, it's just when they hit you, it's a raw feeling, but you don't really feel it because you're kind of like the adrenaline's pumping, you're in the zone. It's kind of like when you're in the flow of football, you kind of got that momentum, you're in the zone, you hit it, you get a hit, but it doesn't, like, yeah, you bounce off. It's going to hurt tomorrow, but in the moment, your adrenaline's pumping, you're in it. That's the same way when I felt when I was doing MMA. But yeah, if you get clipped though, your chin, you know, a certain part, you're gonna get knocked out, and I've been knocked out. It's not fun. You just wake up, you're like, what the hell happened, you know?
It happened, yeah. I have to take that chin.
So, man, yeah, I don't want to hold you up too much longer, man. I appreciate you being on. It means a lot to me, and yeah, I'd like to have you come on. I mean, this is the start of something for me that I feel is big, similarly to the way you probably feel, and you know in your heart of hearts that you're onto something with the coffee business, because that's a huge market. And a lot of people drink coffee. I know growing up in Canada, we have something here called Tim Hortons, and it is massive. It is massive. They branched out to the States, some of the lower states like Detroit and stuff like that. And the outskirts of Canada, Buffalo area, there's a bunch of Tim Hortons, and it is huge here. I mean, people cannot live without their coffee. So I think you're onto something. I think it's going to be big for you. For me, I feel that this podcast is going to be big for me because I get to now finally open up about myself and also open up and crack the minds of some of the greats in the industry, not only just athletes like yourself, but doctors and other people in the industry that I could talk to about sports in general. So I genuinely appreciate you being on. And yeah, I mean, you've still got a huge future ahead of you, and I wish you nothing but the best for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, guys. Chris Johnson, CJ2K, man. Thank you. The Joe Kamo Show. We are out, guys. Thanks a lot.